All right, get ready for this one. We're about to dive into a theory that could literally flip a huge chunk of European language history on its head. We're talking about a lost empire of words, one that stretches from the heart of Europe all the way to India.
So what's with this number? 80 million. Well, what if I told you that's how many people in Asia today might be speaking a form of archaic Romanian? I know, it sounds absolutely wild, but just stick with me here.
And that right there, that's the big question we're tackling. I mean, how is it even possible? A language from Eastern Europe with thousands of identical words spoken 4,500 kilometers away in India. It's a puzzle that honestly challenges everything we think we know about where languages come from.
Okay, so to even start to wrap our heads around this pretty radical idea, we first need to do a quick refresh on the official story. You know, the one we all probably learned in history class about how the Romanian language was born.
This is the classic textbook explanation. It's called the Daco-Roman theory. And it's pretty simple, right? The story goes that the Romans conquered Dacia, their vulgar Latin mixed with the local Dacian language, and poof, you get Romanian.
So the key takeaway from the official story is the timeline. Step 1, you've got the Dacians with their language. Step 2, the Romans show up and conquer the place. Step 3, Latin and the local tongue mix for a few centuries. And boom, step 4, modern Romanian is born. It's a nice, clean story, but what if that whole story is wrong? And that's where our story really begins. Because this is where we meet the man who challenged that entire history. He wasn't a linguist or historian, but a medical doctor. And he went on a personal quest for over 20 years that led him to a completely different place.
Meet Dr. Lucien Coustean. Now, full disclosure, his ideas are definitely considered, let's say, fringe by mainstream academics, but his journey is like something out of a detective novel. It all started when he was working as a doctor in Libya. He looked around and thought, wait a minute. Libya was also a Roman territory, but people here don't speak a Latin-based language, so why did the Dacians, but not the Libyans? And that one simple question sparked a 2-decade obsession. And this quote right here, this is where it all started for him. His research didn't stay in Europe, no. It took him on a trail deep into Central Asia, following the footsteps of a huge, powerful ancient tribe that even the first historians wrote about, the Getae.
So, let's follow that trail. Dr. Coustean's entire theory is built on tracking this one single ancient people who went by a bunch of different names across this vast territory. He groups them all under the name the Getae.
So, here's the core of his argument. The Getae weren't just some small tribe hanging out in Dacia. No, he argues they were a massive civilization, stretching from Central Europe all the way to India, even near China. And here's the kicker. The ancient geographer Strabo wrote that all these Getae tribes, no matter where they were, all spoke the same language.
And you can actually see the historical breadcrumbs he's following here. It starts way back in the 5th century BC, with Herodotus talking about the Getae in Central Asia. Fast forward a few hundred years, and Strabo is writing that all the Getae tribes speak one language. And then, fast forward again to the 6th century AD, and another historian, Evagrius Scholasticus, actually links these people to a population in northern India called the Jade.
Okay, so this table basically connects all those dots for us. The theory goes that the ancient Getae later became known as the Marijats. Even the ancient Chinese had a name for them, the Yushi, which apparently translates to Getae. And who are their modern-day descendants? Well, according to this research, it's the Jats, or the Punjabi people you find in India and Pakistan today.
Right, so if we accept this historical trail, if we follow these people from Dacia all the way to India, we land on the most radical, most mind-blowing part of this whole theory. Seriously, this is the claim that turns everything we know about European languages on its head. 2,000. That's a huge number. And that's how many words Dr. Coustean's research claims are identical between Romanian and Punjabi, the language spoken today by the very people who are supposedly the descendants of the ancient Getae. And just look at some of these, it's pretty wild. Intra, to enter, is andar in Punjabi. Appa, for water, is, appa. Gura, for mouth, is gura. Mana, for hand, is mana. I mean, come on. The similarities are just uncanny. It's like you're hearing an echo from thousands of years ago. Okay, but here's the big, giant puzzle at the center of all this. A skeptic would say, well, a lot of those words are in Latin too, so it just supports the old theory. And that's true. But, and this is the whole point, the Getae were kicking around in Asia 2,500 years ago. That's way, way before the Roman Empire even existed. So how could they have Latin words before Latin was even a thing?
where did they come from? If you follow Kushtan's logic, there's only one possible answer. The Getae couldn't have gotten these words from the Romans. It's impossible. They must have already been speaking a language that sounded a lot like Latin, long before Rome was even a big deal. And this leads us to his most shocking conclusion, in his own words. If the Getae language came before Latin, then modern Romanian is actually older than Latin. And that war, the famous Daco-Roman War, suddenly it's not a story of conquest. It's a family tragedy, a civil war between brothers, or as he puts it, a fratricidal war.
So let's just put the final piece of the puzzle on the table. The ultimate claim of this entire theory is that archaic Romanian wasn't the daughter of Latin. No, it was the other way around. It was the mother tongue, the source from which Latin itself may have sprung.
And so, that's where we'll leave it. It's a huge question, isn't it? Have we stumbled upon a lost chapter of human history? A rediscovered empire of language that shaped both Europe and Asia? Or is this all just one of the most fascinating linguistic coincidences of all time? The theory is out there. The conclusion is absolutely radical. And what you make of it? Well, that's up to you to decide.